This is a continuation of me and my friend Kaman's journey. Last time we talked, he talked about his son winning a goldfish, really liking snakes and reptiles. They ended up going to a trade show. I suggested KDP. He started doing some research. He was coming up with some ideas, and I guess I wanted to continue that story. But if you guys are interested, you can click the link in the description below, and I will have that playlist down there for you. All right, Kaman. I know last time we talked, had an unfortunate thing happen with the merch account getting shut down. We started just kicking back ideas back and forth. I suggested KDP. You had a very interesting story to tell me about your son winning the goldfish and then just going down that path. I guess I want to catch up the story to now. I know we've talked a little bit through messaging, but I wanted to see, did you start a KDP account? I think you said you had one. Did you do any books on KDP? And did you finalize a niche or an idea of how you want to continue doing POD?
Yeah, so super excited. Started uploading all these like no content items for Gecko. I think I spent the whole day doing it because if you haven't done the KDP process, the creation part is easy, but then they have this thing where like they make you approve everything, and like that approval process, like them, like they generate like a virtual version of your book, and it takes like 5, 6, 7 minutes. I was like, this is so. I guess it's more frustrating for me because I'm like, I know it's getting approved because I'm using it the exact same thing. I'm just changing the front, right? So it's like, have you ever sat in traffic? And you're like, dude, I could do this drive in an hour. like it's so much more frustrating, you know. So anyway, so I uploaded all the stuff and I was super excited. I think I had 20 books. And then the approval process is not that instant too. So like you're like waiting like 2 or 3 days to get approval. So I'm like, great, I'll get approval. And then all of a sudden, all of them start getting rejected. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I just spent a whole day doing this, right? And then I poked around, asked a few people. And I guess what it was, I mean, it kind of described it in they give you an email for the reason why it gets rejected. And I was creating all these Gecko journals, but my title for the journal was like Gecko Journal, great for like gifts and friends or whatever it was. And I guess the title has to be somewhere. The text from the title has to be somewhere
on the cover
of the book or the spine. But obviously, I don't read directions. I'm like, just throw it up there and see what happens. So at that point, I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta do everything over.
You're a true entrepreneur.
Dude, so
get it done.
I was like, okay, so that's when I started processing, redoing everything. And I mean, it's a little faster because I have all the images converted, but I still have to wait for the approval process. And then I still got to wait the few days. So I'm kind of stuck there. But then what ended up happening, and I started to pivot, was one of our friends said, hey, you know, there's actually a lot of interest in, she was helping me like look up Pinterest, like, hey, what's there for geckos? She said like, hey.
I guess let me ask you a question. From doing the initial research that you were doing, because I know you showed me the, I don't remember exactly the website, but you were saying it had a lot of information on there. You were taking that information and then you decided to do those low to no content books? Was the next thing that you chose to do?
No, what actually I did. So I was gonna use that website first of all just to see if people are searching things about geckos. Because if you type in geckos and all the autocompletes and all things, there's nothing there, then it just shows that hey, there's really no, like, if no one's even searching. I mean, people search for everything on Google, right? So like if there's no searches there, then
there's no traffic, right? Or more than likely no customers looking for those products.
So pretty much I use that as almost like a validator. And I would reuse that site later if I decide to write content like blogs and stuff like that. Because I mean, it's like, even some of the things that I've seen, my kids used to watch this a while ago, is like, you know, if you look at the video, there was like a versus, and it'd be like gecko versus spider or gecko versus this, right? Like my kids used to watch, like, they did animal battle, like tarantula versus scorpion, and then you see them fight or something like that, you know? So like I was thinking other things like that. But anyways, so getting back to this, I was using that more for a validation step, just to see if I could start throwing stuff up. So Gecko passed that step, if that answers that question.
Yeah, so I guess you had the idea to do reptiles. You used that as a validation step. From there, that's when you decided to go into KDP and do those low to no content books. Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So going back to story. So first of all, I was dreading redoing the whole process of geckos. So that probably played a little bit into it. But then one of our friends, Melissa, she was looking at Pinterest, like, hey, she was just doing, she knows we're doing geckos. She's like, hey, I was just kind of doing research. And then she said, hey, there's actually a lot of bearded dragon stuff on Pinterest. And bearded dragons was one of the options I was going in. Like, I was going to still look between bearded dragons, snakes, or geckos. Those were kind of like the ones I just picked gecko randomly. So at first she mentioned that, and kind of like, I just kind of put it away. Like, oh, okay. I told her, like, yeah, that's on the list. Don't worry about it. We're going to do it. And then, I don't know if you've heard of this site called Niche Hackers or Niche Hacks or something like that. So what they do is they actually create reports on niches.
Hey guys, just going to stop the video real quick and ask if you could do something to help us out, and that's leave a like, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel so we can keep growing the Wingman University. All right, I'll let you get back to the video now.
So they actually had a report on bearded dragons. They didn't have a report on geckos. So I was like, oh, that was kind of like a second, like, like, it reminded me of Melissa. So
you were continuing to do research. You were still on the gecko path, I guess is how we can say it. From there, Melissa gave you the idea that maybe bearded dragons has a little bit more of a audience. From your initial research, I think you took that information and stored it, but you were still going down the gecko path. But then as you were doing more research, I don't know where you saw this. I'm going to say stumble because I don't have a better word for this. Stumbled into looking for, you said niche reports?
It's called Niche
Hunters?
Niche Hacks, I think, .com.
Okay, so
yeah.
Melissa told you about bearded dragons. Then you were doing more research. You went and looked at the niche hacks. Then from there, you identified like, oh, maybe bearded dragon is a little bit better because niche hacks has bearded dragons as a report.
Yeah. So just to give you a background, what Niche Hacks does is that, obviously we're studying niches. So I was kind of seeing, hey, what's out there? So they actually produce a report in their membership site. If you sign up, and they have over 200 reports that they've done before, and they release new reports every few months if you're part of their membership. They actually have like other things too. But I was looking through their stuff, and they actually had a report on bearded dragon. And at first I was like, okay, that's great. I opened it to see what was in the report. And then when I opened it, there was like a lot of stuff that I didn't even think about considering. So in a report, they talk about market size and worth, demographics. They also have like popular content. They also have people who are influencers in that niche. They also have a list of affiliate products, popular blogs, so they did a lot of the research that I would have done as well. So I was like, they're kind of, if they have the stuff already and I'm doing this, I was like, can I just leverage what they're doing? And then I remembered that another thing that was kind of leaning towards this was like, I actually know someone who owns a bearded dragon. Like, I have one-on-one contact with them. We actually used to serve at church together. So that was almost another plus, because like, she would be my customer exactly, right? Like, if I had any questions or I had any thoughts, like, I have a direct one-on-one link with someone I have a close relationship with this niche, which I think is key, because if I wanted to do that with geckos, I'd have to find strangers or whatever who probably be like,
Yeah, building a customer avatar is what we try to teach people to do. It is difficult in the beginning because there's so many things that you take into consideration. But if you have a friend or somebody that you know, that can be your customer avatar because they've already purchased, you have a direct connection to them, and you can ask them a lot of those market questions. I do really like that Niche Hunter site because that gave you the market research report, essentially. That's what we are trying to teach people more of, just doing like market research and then collect enough data to feel like you have that report that company, business already did that for you. So it just sped up your time. I also like that you're very fluid in your research and can adapt on the fly. Like that's why another reason I like POD is because it allows you to, again, discover, understand, serve with adjustments to be able to go, I was going after this niche. I didn't purchase anything, so I don't have any money. So I don't feel like I'm getting forced to move forward in this direction. I can pivot and go, okay, gecko is what my first original thought was. Now I'm moving into bearded dragons. This feels like a better fit. Now I even have more data, more information to make better decisions to then start testing the market.
Yeah, and I mean, I still struggle with the transition though. I wasn't like, oh, like
Yeah, it's over time. I guess it's not instant, but I was just pointing out, like, you didn't spend money, because if gecko was the first thing that you're going after and you went to that trade show and you purchased $10,000 worth of inventory, now you're committed to doing gecko business.
Yeah. So I mean, even like I even talked to my wife, like, hey, what should I do? Because I'm a very shiny object syndrome kind of person.
Guilty.
So oh, this is a better niche. Let's do this. Or oh, this I might research bearded dragon. Like, oh, this, actually snakes was better, And I wanted to. One of the things I was committing to 2020 is like I want to finish projects, right? So, so me and my wife went about it. I was like, I actually forced myself, like, hey, like in this case, I did switch, but I mean. What I kind of tricked myself into is like, okay, well, I was gonna do bearded dragons anyways. I'm just reprioritizing at this point. So I prioritize bearded dragon above gecko because I have all the data. And then the thought process is like, well, how much of the stuff that he's giving me in these reports, how much stuff that I've learned is actually gonna be beneficial? So the only way I'll know is actually just throw something up, and then at that point, it's almost like, hey, this will be my training wheels, and it's an easier way to learn because I don't have to start it from scratch. I already have all the data. And then once I create this, I'll know the process, and then I can apply it to geckos at that point, So that was kind of like the reasoning why I decided to switch over at this point. I mean, there was a little lost time because I had my VA create all these gecko images. Now there's a slowdown because I'm like, hey, I'm switching here. Can you make a bunch of bearded dragon images? The good thing is that, like, I'm still using gecko, so the images I can still use later. And I learned that, hey, when I make the bearded dragon KDBs, I'm gonna put the title in there, so it saves me a lot of time. So I mean, that's kind of where my
you're learning the process.
Yeah, so I mean, that's where I'm switching now to bearded dragons, and I'm gonna go to the no content stuff, and just the same process. Just the good thing is that I was lucky enough to be early on in the process that I would switch. If I already had a website up and had all of that stuff up, I probably would have punched through anyways and used the report as a guiding light in terms of like, like I didn't think about looking for people influential in the niche, So I really like, I'd probably start that with gecko, So that's kind of where I'm at right now. We switched to bearded dragon. I'm gonna have some KDP no content stuff up, and then we'll see where the keyword research takes us. What people are buying, what are not. I'll probably, once I get more educated in the space, I'll probably call up my friend and go, hey, I have some questions about it. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, have you bought any bearded dragon merch? Like, well, would you, and what kind of supplies you buy and stuff like that. And I mean, I have a lot of ideas in my head already where if I know, hey, a lot of gecko people buy this food because, I mean, geckos or bearded dragons, they eat crickets pretty much. And there's not a really lot of places you can get crickets online. Like, hey, maybe I could bundle a merch thing with that cricket food and see what happens. Like, we'll see, but I need to get all that POD stuff out just so that before I want to front any money to buy inventory,
So now that you've been doing research, you have a better understanding, you're starting to build that customer avatar. This is, I guess, a little bit of my agenda with this Discover, Understand, Serve, and wanting to help more people. Categorizing each phase that you're going through, this would be the discover phase. You're starting to build that customer avatar. I think you're in a great position that you have somebody that you can directly relate to or ask questions to. This is when you're building a customer avatar, you're supposed to be running a lot of your ideas through that filter and then be able to make products with it. So this is the discover phase. As you learn more, you'll be understanding them. And then once you gather that information, like you said, either move to a website or whatever else you're going to be doing next, bundles, you can then go and serve those customers better. So I, again, have a little bit of agenda because I want to help a lot more people. Discover, understand, serve is the way that I kind of want to trickle in the learning pieces into here. But I think it's fascinating, the stories that you're telling, and hopefully we can bring people along this journey. But for you, after going through the last week of testing all these things and learning, what would be your next step?
So, I mean, I'm still going to do the KDP stuff. So I already talked to my VA to be like, hey, can you create some more beer? Well, not some more. Can you create new bearded dragon images? And then I'll throw those up. And then I'm going to do more research on bearded dragon, try to do some keyword research. Similar to, I guess, what you would do if you were creating a listing for a bearded dragon product, right? Like, what are the terms that people are typing? What are the terms that people are looking for? What are the products out there? And just get all the research I need to start crafting the listings for the other POD products that are out there, you know? And at that point, I mean, we have to see, you know, like at that point, it's almost wait and see, like, hey, you know, is anything selling? Is anything ranking, you know? And then, yeah, like, I'm going to let the data dictate what my decision is next. And if nothing's ranking, nothing's selling, then I'd be like, okay, well, then maybe we'll have to go to something else, you know? So, but this is the process, and it's just a looping process. Like, hey, I'm not going to plan out the whole future until I have the data with me, you know? So
Yeah, this is I like POD because it's a earn and learn process. You are discovering a customer base. That's with all the research. I think it's fascinating how you did it with your son, winning that goldfish. This is a weird story to tell, but I hope people can follow us on that. Now I think you're moving into that understanding phase, and that's just a testing phase to see if this is worth continuing to go after. Like you said, if it's not selling, you just pivot again and move on to something else. But you've discovered you have a base avatar. You're trying to refine that avatar so that you can actually figure out, like you said, the best keywords, the best art, the best way to target that market, and then move forward with additional products. But if you'd like us to continue going, let us know. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and comment below and let us know how we can help you. All right, guys, take it easy.